Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covers, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, GregUnchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the B Plus Podcast. I am your host, GregUnchained. Today is Sunday, so you know what that means. It's time for All the Rest. It's when I sit down and talk about everything that happened in the world of wrestling on TV outside of WWE. Of course, everything is with an asterisk because it's very hard to get to everything. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood have a TV show. MLW have a TV show. There's lots of smaller TV shows that I watch from time to time, but I'm not always going to be able to get to them routinely. So when I do, I will talk about them. But with so much going on in Aussie wrestling at the moment, with MCW 100 having just happened, RCW 200 right around the corner, PWA Call to Arms having just happened, I have been kind of swamped, and, obviously real life gets in the way as well. Not everything can be about wrestling. So, this week, we will look at Lucha Underground, which was amazing. We will also look at Ring of Honor TV, and I will briefly touch on the results from the Honor Reunited tour, which I still have yet to watch, but we'll address that shortly. First up, let's take a look at Lucha Underground. So Lucha Underground, for those of you who don't know, is one of my highlights of the week. I am a huge fan of Lucha Underground, and this week was the kind of week that really reminds me why I am such a big fan of Lucha Underground. So the episode opens up with Melissa Santos backstage. She's putting on makeup. This is going to be a cinematic. I love the Lucha Underground cinematic style. For those who are unfamiliar, Lucha Underground basically operates as a TV show, like a soap opera. It's not like WWE or Impact where the wrestlers backstage know there's a camera on them and it's kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing, like a show about a show. This is just a show. The announcers don't talk about the stuff that happens on the cinematics. The cinematics are happening completely separate to what is going on in the temple, in the ring, as the wrestling portion of the show. And the cinematics play out some pretty cool storylines over time. So there's some really big overarching storylines going through, like the Cuetos and what they're up to with the temple itself and the sacrificing to the gods and all that sort of thing. And then little stories come and go as well. So this one is Melissa Santos putting on makeup. El Dragon Azteca Jr. approaches her and asks her how she's doing, because recently, of course, her boyfriend Phoenix has passed away after a three-way to the grave match with Mil Muertes and Jeremiah Crane, also known as Sami Callihan. So El Dragon Azteca Jr. asks her how she's doing. She says she's fine, and he's like, look, I get it. Out there with the believers, you got to put on this face, but you don't have to do that with me. You can be honest. Like, how are you? And she says that she misses him more and more every day. El Dragon Azteca Jr. sort of, he's being a good friend. He's comforting her, letting her know that, the more she grieves, that means the more she loved. And, he's there if she needs him. She says that he's a great friend. She touches his shoulder as she leaves, which is always, ooh, what's going on there? I mean, El Dragon Azteca Jr. is a face, so I don't think he's going to be swooping in on a grieving woman like this, because that's a total heel move, but I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. He did, I forgot to mention, he put the Piedra Immortal around her neck. Now that's the medallion, or the half of a medallion, that grants immortality. Of course, with half of it, it's kind of not at a full strength power, but we know that it saved Katrina's life, and it put her sort of in between the land of the living and the land of the dead. So very interesting potentials there with Melissa Santos now having one half of the Piedra Immortal. Katrina gave it to her because she doesn't need it anymore, and I still have a theory that something's going to happen there, and we're going to see Melissa Santos end up halfway, much like Katrina was, and see her go a little darker. Maybe Phoenix come back and be a little darker as well. Especially now with Katrina being all dressed in red and all full of life and refusing to do the lick of death for Mil Muertes. We'll get to that. There's a lot of potential here with the Piedra Immortal around the neck of Melissa Santos. It's very intriguing. Then we cut to the ring. Vampiro and Matt Striker welcome us to the show. No band tonight. Normally a band plays us into the temple, but we're going straight into the Haunted House match. So there's a big steel cage set up. So this is the Mac and Mil Muertes. They're having a Haunted House match, the first time ever in Lucha Underground. Basically what it is you got a big cage set up, and they have a bunch of, Halloween-style props around the ring. You got pumpkins, you got tables with things written on it and spooky fonts, and you've got, skeletons and all that sort of, paraphernalia around the ring like you would have at a haunted house at Halloween time. It's kind of weird being August and not October. You would think when they taped this that they would air this in October. I mean, what are we going to get next month? A Christmas-themed match. It's a little bit strange, but, it was a really, really fun match. So before the match, before I get to the match, Katrina comes out, and Melissa Santos doesn't introduce Katrina. She doesn't do the whole accompanied to the ring by Katrina. And so Katrina gets upset and gets into Melissa Santos' face and says, you need to introduce me. Melissa Santos says no, and Katrina attacks. She rams Melissa Santos' head into the cage repeatedly and then smashes her over the head with a vase after performing the lick of death on Melissa Santos. Could this send Melissa Santos to the halfway point between the land of the living and the land of the dead? I doubt it. I mean, a vase to the back of the head could potentially kill you, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to see that happen. If so, I am all for it. I predicted it when she first got the amulet, and I'm really excited for that to happen. So hopefully that's what happened here. I guess we'll find out more as the weeks go on. But she was taken away as we went to a break, and then we come back and we're getting the match now. So the match itself, that's the Mac and Mil Muertes. Really, really good, hardcore steel cage match. At one point, Mil Muertes spears Willie Mac through the cage, and they go out to the floor. The cage didn't quite break the way it was supposed to. Maybe they were at the wrong panel. I don't know. But it looked brutal. And they go out, and then he throws more weapons in, throws him back in. He actually got a machete. Well, it wasn't really a machete. It was too small to be a machete, too big to be a knife. But he got that handed to him through the cage from Katrina, and he hit it straight into, like a hook shot, straight into the head of the Mac. Busted him open immediately. Looked pretty brutal. I mean, he stabbed a man on live television in the middle of the ring, which, answers the question of whether the laws apply or not. Apparently they don't. You can just straight up stab a man in the head, and you're okay, because he's not going to jail. So that's very interesting and strange. But it was brutal. There was blood everywhere from that point on. You could see the blood dripping all over the mat. It's not for the squeamish, this episode. There is a lot of blood in this episode. This is one of two very hardcore, hard-hitting matches. There's some table spots, there's a lot of weapons used, and ultimately, Mil Muertes gets the win with a flatliner from the top rope through a table. Muertes is covered in the Mac's blood, Mac is covered in blood, the mat is covered in blood, and Mil Muertes tries to get Katrina to do her post-match routine with the lick of death, but she says no, and she leaves. Very interesting there. So Katrina dressed in red. She's more vivacious, more associated with life, with energy. Now that Mil Muertes is still stuck. He is death personified in a lot of ways. So it looks like she may be moving on from Mil Muertes. As they're sowing seeds. There's a lot of ways they can go with it, especially with the Melissa Santos stuff. Could Melissa Santos get involved with Mil Muertes? Could, like I said, Phoenix, perhaps she finds a way to bring Phoenix back from the land of the dead, and he's a little darker, she's a little darker. Maybe they form a stable with Mil Muertes. Definitely some interesting potentialities here. Lucha Underground starting to fire on all cylinders. This episode was brilliant. Moving on we get Famous B. Famous B was at ringside at the beginning in the show open. I should have mentioned that, but Famous B was at ringside. He's in a wheelchair. He's in the crowd, and the announcers were like, "Hey, he's better. He's recovering. Look, he's back." And he gets on the mic at ringside and thanks everyone for calling 423 Get Fame. That's 423 Get Fame to wish him a speedy recovery. And he says he is recovering. It took 3 surgeries, 7 screws in his leg. I mean, it was just a broken ankle, man. I think you're overselling it a little. But since Melissa is not here, he figures he can announce the next match. He starts with the standard, "The following lucha is scheduled for 1 fall." Then he looks down at his note card to see who is coming out. And he simply says, "Oh shit." It was brilliant. You gotta watch it. His facials, his expressions throughout this whole announcing segment, the way he sold everything that was happening was brilliant. Famous B, someone get this dude a contract. Like, for real. I love wrestling managers, and they bring so much to the show. WWE needs more managers. Impact needs more managers. We need more managers in professional wrestling. So Famous B needs to get the call from someone, because just seeing him on Lucha Underground is not enough. He needs to get the call from someone. Anyway, so he says, "Oh shit," because it's Jake Strong who he's announcing. And Jake Strong, of course, is the man that snapped his ankle in the first place. So he announces Jake Strong, and then he announces Aerostar, and he looks kind of smug when he announces Aerostar, because he's like, Aerostar's experienced, Aerostar's got this. Spoiler alert, Aerostar don't got this. Aerostar loses very quickly with the ankle lock. He taps out immediately. And Jake Strong will not relent, will not break the hold, and out comes Drago for the save with the nunchucks. The nunchucks. That was my nunchuck noise. And yeah, and he scares off Jake Strong. Really odd because, just last week, Drago disappeared into that big flash of light and was like, "I don't know if I'll ever see you again. I don't deserve your friendship," kind of thing. But I guess he changed his mind. He discovered himself. It only took him a week. He's back. And the Super Friends are reunited, and Jake Strong continues his dominant super push. He hasn't lost a match yet. All of his matches have been by submission. He's broken a lot of ankles, but he didn't get to break Aerostar's ankle because of the reuniting of the Super Friends. It was a big mark-out moment for me, even though it came off the back of just last week, them teasing that we wouldn't see this for a while, to then just be like, boom, here it is. It was kind of, it feels a little rushed. A lot of this season has felt rushed, but at the same time, it's the Super Friends. This is a real-life dragon, best friends with a time-traveling alien astronaut guy. How can you not love it? How can you not love that pairing? Huge mark-out moment for me. Then we cut backstage to Taya and Johnny's engagement party. PJ got them a voucher for Slamtown Spa and Resort. They say, "We love that place." Taya got Johnny a portrait of himself holding the Lucha Underground Championship, and he tears up because it's just so beautiful. But it also reminds him of his title being stolen. And she tells him that he's going to steal it back, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" She says that she spoke to Antonio Cueto, and a week after the wedding is next week, by the way, a week after the wedding, Johnny will get a one-on-one match for the Lucha Underground Championship. Johnny tells her she's the perfect woman. They smooch a little, and then we go outside, and we see Ricky Mundo, who's guarding the door to the party, and he won't let Johnny's dodgy agent in. So the dodgy agent tells him, "Look, I'm actually useful to Johnny. You are useless. That's why you're out here. That's why you're on the door. Because you have no use. Johnny has no use for you. You are completely useless to him." Rosa, who, for those who don't know, Rosa is a doll that Ricky got when he went to the Island of the Dolls. The doll talks, it has sentience, and it is incredibly creepy. And so Rosa says to Ricky,
"You gonna let him talk to you like that? Why don't you show him how useful you can be? Show him like you showed Angelico."
She laughs, and it's creepy as shit. And then he gives the agent a pen, and the agent's making jokes. He's like, "What's this? Is this what you use to sign all of Johnny's autographs for him?" And Ricky's like, "Not anymore." And he grabs the pen and just stabs the agent in the neck repeatedly. Blood sprays all over his face. Blood sprays all over Rosa, the creepy doll from the Island of the Dolls. They're both laughing. We cut back inside to this nice, innocent engagement party. And we see that Jack has given Johnny and Taya matching bandanas, and everyone laughs at the matching bandanas. And then we cut back outside, and this image of Ricky and Rosa just covered in blood, both just laughing maniacally. It was incredibly creepy. This was one of the best cinematics of the season. I loved it so much. I cannot rate it highly enough. This episode is a must-watch episode of Lucha Underground. The last couple of weeks have been kind of, they've been there. But this episode, man, this episode has everything. It's got the creepy stuff. It's got the hard-hitting action. It's got the blood, the guts, the sci-fi, the fantasy, the super friends. And yeah, it's a really good episode. But that's not all. We don't end there. So the cinematic was fantastic and a really good way would have been a really good way to close the show. But we still had one more match. Last man or machine standing for the Lucha Underground Championship. Brian Cage challenging Pentagon Dark. It was a little weird. We went to a break before the match started and we came back and it looked like they'd just cut things together from last week at the end of the show when they did this segment where they brawled around the arena. Maybe the match went too long and so they had to find a way to cut it into 2 different weeks. I don't know what happened, but it was just a little jarring to not have the match start on camera. So they're fighting outside, and immediately Cage rips at the mask of Pentagon. He gets a glass bottle and smashes it against the turnbuckle post and digs that glass bottle. They get a close-up of it, too, right into the head of Pentagon, busting him open. Once again, blood is everywhere. This episode is not for the squeamish. This was a really hardcore match. They fought all over the place. I thought at a certain point the match should have ended at about the 3rd or 4th huge top rope table spot. I thought the match could have ended right there, but it didn't. They kind of just kept going. They did this weird thing where, if he gets too close, the referee's going to stop his count. That's weird to me. I prefer last man standing when you don't count until one of the guys is on their feet, so there's no potential for a double count out, and that lets you add more tension and more drama to those double down spots. Who is going to get up first? And then, was it enough to take the other guy out for another 10 seconds on top of that? That's how I like it done. But this whole, we want to go further, so we're going to move closer to the guy, and now the ref's going to stop at 6. That was weird. I did not like that. And yeah, some of the big spots were just, because they only have 10 seconds to sell it, it would have been nice if one of the bigger spots earlier in the match actually ended the match, because they were really big spots. You're talking about package pile drivers to the outside through tables, how that doesn't end a last man standing match is kind of ridiculous. The ending spot ended up being a package pile driver through 6 chairs, similar to the one we saw with Sami Callihan in Impact. After that spot, Pentagon immediately tries to break the arm, breaks the other arm, breaks both of Cage's arms. Cage can't use his arms to get up, so he's trying to just get up on his knees, and then he gets curb stomped through a cinder block for the 10 count. Pentagon retains the title. Despite my feeling that it should have ended earlier, that some of those big spots, that's just me being a little old school, being like, you're killing the business, kids, because that big spot should have ended the match, but then that big spot should have ended the match. It was still a really fun, hardcore, brutal match. Again, blood everywhere, not for the squeamish. Curb stomp through a cinder block is kind of insane, but it was, a really good match and a really good way to close out the show. Highly, highly, highly recommend this episode of Lucha Underground. It's not too convoluted story-wise. It's easy to jump in. The announcers do a good job of explaining everything that's happening. And of course, you've just listened to me explain it too, so you know what's going on. Now is the time to be watching Lucha Underground. If you're having trouble finding it, shoot me a message. I'll be able to help you out with that, because I know, as an Australian fan, it can be hard to track down Lucha Underground, but I've got you covered. Moving on, let's dive into some Ring of Honor talk. So Ring of Honor TV this week opened with Scorpio Sky coming to the ring for a one-on-one match with Chris Sabin. Scorpio comes out solo, but Sabin is accompanied by Alex Shelley, and we see a recap of Sabin defeating Silas Young to become the number 1 contender for Punishment Martinez's TV title. Now, Chris Sabin is on a bit of a singles push after the retirement of Alex Shelley, which I guess this took place a while ago. In terms of the taping schedule, once again, it's one of those time as a flat circle situations, because we knew Alex Shelley retired, but then here he is on TV announcing his retirement after this match. It was a little bit jarring, but that's what happens when you do big lots of tapings and then roll it out over TV over a couple of months. So, the match itself was a really good match. It was just a good straight-up wrestling match. Ultimately, Chris Sabin gets the win with the cradle shock, and then Alex Shelley gets on the mic, says that he doesn't feel like he has anything left to offer pro wrestling, and it's probably not a retirement. I mean, it's not a retirement because he's not going to have a 401k or any of that sort of thing, but He says that he will possibly be back. It might be a goodbye, see you later kind of thing, but at the moment, he's definitely gone. And then before they can leave the ring, out comes Punishment Martinez with a steel chair, attacks Sabin, tries to attack Shelley as well, but Scorpio Sky comes out for the save. Very interesting there, having Scorpio Sky make the save when Scorpio Sky is kind of a heel. I mean, I know he gets cheered as well because of the stuff on being the elite, but, you know, he is, in wrestling terms, a heel, so it was kind of interesting having him come out for the save with the babyface Chris Sabin. Not sure where they're going with that, but I'm definitely interested to see how it plays out. Moving on, we get a Kenny King promo. He has a little bit of a rap. He likes to rhyme in this promo, so he says that he has a thing or two to learn from Marty Scurll, but tonight the villain will bend the knee. I liked the rhyming. Interesting that he says he has something to learn from Marty Scurll, because obviously they're playing out this story where Austin Aries says that Kenny King is too much of a goody two-shoes, right? So Kenny King needs to sort of come to the dark side and be more like Austin Aries if he wants to really become a star. And it seems like Kenny King might be taking that advice on board if he says that he has something to learn from the villain. Very interesting stuff. Want to see where it goes over the coming months. I assume we're going to end up with he and Austin Aries in a pairing, which will be very cool to see. Karen Q comes to the ring next. She gets a picture-in-picture promo about beating Jenny Rose. Then Jenny Rose comes out with her picture-in-picture promo about getting back on track to get the Woman of Honor title. I really love the picture-in-picture promos as people make their entrances. It saves a lot of time. It lets you get more in-ring action onto the show while still making us give a crap about the story. Really good stuff. I'm very much a fan of what they're doing at the moment. Bell rings, 2 lock up, trade standing switches, good back and forth match, really good Woman of Honor wrestling match. Not the best, but definitely, it's better having had the story elements introduced with the picture-in-picture promos. Towards the end of the match, Kelly Klein, who was on the announce table for this match, I forgot to mention that. Before the match, we saw Kelly Klein on the announce table talking about how Jenny Rose knocked her tooth out in their last match. So she's on the announce table. She comes out in the middle of the match and causes the interference, and Karen Q gets the win with a full Nelson slam off the distraction. Kelly Klein attacks after the match, and then Karen Q gets in her face and says she didn't need any help, and she leaves. So, yeah, good match. I'm starting to actually care about some of these women in the Women of Honor division, which is what you want. They're starting to tell stories, which is what you want. All the concerns that I had a couple of months ago with the Women of Honor and Ring of Honor in general, because they had a set of TV tapings that were really bad, have been addressed, and things are starting to pick up again, which is really nice to see. Then we get a little FR Josie versus Eli Isom match. It's not really a match, it's more of an angle for the debut of Jeff Cobb. Big boy Mikey will be happy. Jeff Cobb has made his Ring of Honor debut, squashing 2 Future of Honor guys, Eli Isom and FR Josie. Looking dominant, beats them both down, hits a deadlift suplex on both of them at once. Pretty insane. Jeff Cobb is here. It's pretty exciting. I don't know what else to say. I'm very keen to see what he can do in Ring of Honor. I'm hoping he gets the nod over to New Japan as well pretty soon. Lucha Underground, unfortunately, just aren't letting him do what he can do. He is capable of far more than he's been displaying as Matanza. Matanza just sort of comes out, hits one move, and wins. So I'm very interested to see Jeff Cobb have actual competitive matches in Ring of Honor and hopefully in New Japan as well. Then we get the Kingdom cutting a promo about the Bullet Club, making fun of them for being on again, off again, and all that nonsense. They say that they're the better trio, and they're going to prove it next week in the main event when they defend their 6-man tag team titles. I guess we're getting that match again, which is cool. Main event time, Kenny King takes on the villain Marty Scurll. This was a really fun match. Lots of really good storytelling. They chain wrestle back and forth. Marty gets the upper hand. Lots of wrist control. You know how Marty does. Love Marty Scurll. Lots of trading strike spots as well. Double downs and stuff. Ultimately, Kenny King does have to succumb to the dark side. Puts his feet on the ropes on a roll-up to get the win. The crowd booed, which was kind of weird. I mean, yeah, you want to boo him for cheating because he shouldn't be cheating. But I mean, they were cheering Marty Scurll for doing the same sorts of things for because that's what you expect from Marty Scurll, not what you expect from Kenny King. So when Kenny King did it, he got the heel reaction, which it was a little unfair on the guy. But it was a really fun match. This is on my recommended matches this week, definitely. Marty Scurll versus Kenny King at Ring of Honor TV. I don't know the episode number, but it aired the 21st of August here in Australia on Fight TV. Of course, Ring of Honor is available on Fight TV. Very easy to access. You can sign up. If you sign up using our promo code, that is ZEZ1 letter O 41, ZEZ1 letter O 41, that's going to get you $15 credit that you can use towards pay-per-views. So you can use that for one of the Honor Reunited shows if you want. You can use it for Joey Janela's Lost in New York is $15. It could go towards All In, which is coming up very, very soon. We're going to have an All In cast later this week, a special episode where we're all going to sit down and talk about all our theories and all of our predictions for All In and just get really hyped up for All In. I'm going to be spending my Father's Day locked in my office watching All In. Very exciting stuff. Yeah, sign up at Fight TV, and then Ring of Honor TV is free every week before Monday Night Raw. Sit down for an hour, watch Ring of Honor. It's a better hour than most wrestling hours, so definitely worth watching this match. Kenny King, Marty Scurll on the recommended list. Now, also in Ring of Honor news this week, you'll remember, if you listen to the show regularly, you'll remember I was very upset the last few weeks with Ring of Honor because going into Honor Reunited, it was supposed to be an Honor Club event. By all indications, the touring shows are kind of the draw card for Honor Club. Unless, of course, if you're like me and you pay month to month with Honor Club, they're the draw card, because if you pay for a yearly membership, you get all the pay-per-views and everything, which is a different thing altogether. So I pay month to month, and I really only expect the touring shows, which Honor Reunited is a part of. Now, I went on a bit of a rant a couple weeks ago because they pulled the shows from Honor Club and announced that they were exclusively going to stream them on Fight because Fight was sponsoring the inaugural International Cup. This really pissed me off because it means that this month we don't get any Honor Club content, and so what the hell am I paying you for? I should not have to double pay in order to watch the wrestling that I'm already paying for. And I went on a bit of a rant about it. I listen to other podcasts and other shows, and obviously I follow all the news websites and everything. That's how I bring you all this information. And no one else seemed to be upset by this. There were people on Reddit and on forums and things were very upset, like your general people. But no one else was willing to speak up about this. It was just complete silence about the fact that this had gone to Fight TV and Honor Club members were getting screwed. Well, we got an email this week from Ring of Honor. I'm going to read it to you. So I thought this was classy. I thought this was a top act. Honor Club members, first and foremost, we apologize. Heading into the UK tour, we were faced with a situation where we would have to forego streaming the tour live, but due to our great relationship with Fight, we opted for a solution that would still allow the events to be seen as they happen. In hindsight, this did not feel fair to you, and that is never our intent. All 3 events are available now for Honor Club members, and we will do everything in our power to assure that all touring shows will be presented live going forward. Thank you for your continued support, Ring of Honor. This was nice. They didn't have to do this, and generally speaking, Ring of Honor are terrible in terms of customer service. I'm sorry, I love the in-ring product, but in terms of customer service for their shop and all that sort of stuff, they don't have a very good track record. And Honor Club is the same. They had streaming issues, and people aren't able to get in touch with them. There's no dedicated customer support team. I mean, they're still a relatively small company, even though Sinclair Broadcasting have bought them, so I don't know how. I guess, they don't have much allocated to that portion of the budget. But this was a class act, acknowledging the fact that they fucked up and fixing the issue, getting those up on Honor Club less than a week after they aired, which takes money out of their partner's pocket, because Fight would be relying on sales. Fight don't just stream live. They give you that on demand as well. So anything you purchase, you can watch forever. And, they do get resale value. So it's kind of, taking money out of one partner's pocket to put into the Honor Club. And I thought it was a really good thing that they did for the fans, that they put that up. Now, I haven't gotten around to watching it, but I'm going to lift my boycott and talk about it, because I did, after I got that email, seek out the results so that I would know what happened. And I will hopefully get around to watching it, time permitting, but there's some stuff on there that definitely sounds good. So the noteworthy stuff is Mark Haskins, Jonathan Gresham, Flip Gordon, Kip Sabian, Jimmy Havoc, Christopher Daniels, Hangman Page, and Joe Hendry took part in a single elimination tournament for the first ever International Cup. It came down to Mark Haskins and Hangman Page in the final, with Mark Haskins winning the International Cup, and a title shot on the final night of the tour in London for Jay Lethal's Ring of Honor World Championship. Viper and Kaylee Ray competed in a Women of Honor match. That looks like it should be a really good one to see. Those two are both fantastic talents. Kaylee Ray competed in one of my Match of the Year contenders this year against Meiko Satomura at Pro Wrestling Eve's Wrestle Queendom. Definitely seek that show out. And on the second night in Doncaster, Charlie Evans made her Women of Honor debut against Kaylee Ray. Big win for Charlie Evans to have a match on Ring of Honor. That's fantastic. Congratulations, Charlie. She's a hometown girl here in Australia. Hometown being our entire country. Because, I'm in Adelaide. She's from up in Sydney as far as I know. So, she's a PWA girl. Charlie Evans, a Nui Pro. And she's headed over to the UK where she's been wrestling in Pro Wrestling Eve, which is a great one to watch. And yeah, she's having some success and really great to see her pop up in the Women of Honor division. I hope that it leads to more things for her in the future. Punishment Martinez got a win over Jimmy Havoc in a street fight. That should be really good to watch. I'm not a huge fan of Punishment Martinez, but Jimmy Havoc, he knows how to put together a street fight, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out. Both the Briscoes and the Young Bucks got wins over UK wrestling legends Johnny Storm and Jody Fleisch. I call them UK wrestling legends. I mean, you don't really hear their name thrown about too much that I know of, but they were the UK guys when I first started paying attention to the indies way back in the early 2000s. They were the UK guys, and they were the ones to watch. So really good to see them tagging, and that's a big win for both the Briscoes and the Young Bucks. Speaking of big wins, Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal got a win over the Young Bucks. I mean, that's got to put you somewhere in the tag division in line, because the Young Bucks are always a top contender. And then, of course, on the final night, Jay Lethal successfully defended his Ring of Honor title against Mark Haskins. So those are kind of the highlights that stand out to me. Definitely one that I'm going to look forward to watching, hopefully, if I get around to it. Good work to Ring of Honor for acknowledging their mistake and fixing it and sort of sending out that apology to the Honor Club members. Like I said, it's not something they're known for, and it's not something they had to do, but it's something they did, and that's how you win people over. I'm a big fan of what Ring of Honor did this week. Now, moving on, let's take a look at some of the top wrestling headlines for this week. Topping off the news for us Aussies is, of course, the WWE Super-Showdown announcements. If you've been living under a rock, WWE Super-Showdown is the big show planned for October the 6th in Melbourne at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. They're expecting 80 to 100,000 fans. It's going to be insane. I'm going to be there. I'm in the nosebleeds. I'm looking forward to it anyway. Being there live for The Undertaker's entrance is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for me. I mean, it's not a once-in-a-lifetime thing for a lot of people. A lot of people go over to WrestleMania and all that sort of stuff. I've never been able to do that, and I don't know if he's going to be at the next WrestleMania, if I'm going to be able to go to the next WrestleMania, etc. So this was kind of, I looked at this as, this may be my last chance to see The Undertaker make that iconic entrance, so I'm very much excited for that. This week, of course, on Raw, we had a promo from Triple H to build up that Undertaker match, but also we got announcements throughout the week of some other matches that are going to happen on the show. We are getting a tag team match between John Cena and Bobby Lashley against Kevin Owens and Elias. Now, originally John Cena was going to take on Kevin Owens one-on-one. I would have really liked to see that, but the tag match should be fun. We should get an Elias concert. Very much looking forward to an Elias concert in the MCG. We're also going to get The Shield against a trio to be decided. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we're going to get the Wyatt family. Matt Hardy is out, meaning Bray Wyatt has nothing to do. Eric Rowan is out, meaning Luke Harper theoretically has nothing to do. I hope they find something for Luke Harper, because he's one of the best guys in the company. So, at the moment, though, it looks like he has nothing to do. The Shield have reunited. Bray Wyatt's teased it on Twitter. You've got Bray Wyatt, you've got Braun Strowman in a feud with the Shield, and you have Luke Harper available. Let's get the Wyatts back together for a match at the Super Showdown, please. I would love to see the Shield versus the Wyatts live and in person. That will be insane. I hope the Shield do their entrance. It's going to take them a long time to get to the ring in the Melbourne Cricket Ground. If they start up in the bleachers and walk down, hopefully they come through my section so I can get a high five and see someone up close, because I will be probably needing binoculars to see what's going on in the actual ring. And the big one, folks, The Miz takes on Daniel Bryan in a one-on-one rematch from SummerSlam. The winner getting a shot at AJ Styles' title. I'm going to expect The Miz to walk out of this one with a win, leading to him winning the title off AJ Styles, so that we can prolong the Daniel Bryan moment to WrestleMania, where he will win the Royal Rumble, then overcome The Miz and become the WWE Champion, unquestionably. That's where my money's going, and it might be a good bet, because the Royal Rumble odds have sort of started to emerge on the betting sites, and the heavy favourite to win at 2-1 odds is The Rock. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, the actor, is favoured to win the Royal Rumble. I guess people are expecting a Rock versus Roman Reigns WrestleMania headliner. I am not a fan of that idea, but I definitely don't want The Rock to win a Royal Rumble. You don't need him to win the Royal Rumble to get him in the headline match at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? That's what's great about the Royal Rumble, is you can give that to the guy who's on the edge, you know, like Edge, or like Rey Mysterio, the guy who, you know, everyone wants to see get in that headline spot but isn't quite there. You know, someone like a Seth Rollins, or, you know, Dean Ambrose, a high upper mid-card guy that's not really a top WrestleMania main event guy, and winning the Royal Rumble makes them that top of the top WrestleMania main event guy. Daniel Bryan is one who, he deserves a WrestleMania main event. The Miz deserves another WrestleMania main event. I mean, they both have had one before, but they both deserve it. They've both put in great work. Daniel Bryan coming back, this story that they've been telling for years now, it really needs to headline WrestleMania next year, in my opinion. I don't think it will, because it's for the WWE title and not for the Universal title, but I hope I'm wrong. But The Rock being favoured to win the Royal Rumble is kind of strange at this point. Now, we know that Rock hasn't returned to wrestling previously because of insurance issues with film studios. So with the film studios and the insurance they put on him for their films, they can't allow him to go out and wrestle. It's too risky. So I don't know what's happened there. I know he is sort of more in charge of his own stuff now with his own studio. Maybe he doesn't have any major studio projects lined up and he's only doing his own things for the next couple of years, and that is allowing him to break away and do wrestling if he wants to. I don't know where because these betting odds tend to be pretty spot on, but this is very early days, so I don't think The Rock's going to win the Royal Rumble. I hope The Rock doesn't win the Royal Rumble in 2019, because that would be, I mean, it's like Batista, right? When Batista won the Royal Rumble, the crowd revolted, because you don't want that guy to win the Royal Rumble. That guy can waltz into a WrestleMania main event anyway. You don't need them to be winning the Royal Rumble. Now, The Rock is not the only person who is rumored to be returning. Of course, Kurt Angle has been taken off TV as the Raw GM, and rumors have speculated that maybe it was because they were going to Canada for Raw this week and he can't get across the border because of legal issues or whatever. But it looks like he may have been taken off TV for a while so that he can train for an in-ring return. Don't know if he's going to be coming in against Baron Corbin, if they're going to do something with Triple H and like the Authority kind of situation. There's a lot of ways that you can go with Kurt Angle coming back to the ring. Just not joining the Shield would be one way you don't want to go. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's better than the last in-ring return. Very excited for Kurt Angle to be coming back to the ring, assuming he's going to have a WrestleMania match of some kind. The best bet is probably going to be Baron Corbin. Meanwhile, Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan are transitioning the other way. Their injuries have taken them out, it seems, and they are not able to compete anymore, and they are both transitioning to backstage roles, having done agent work at SummerSlam and Raw this week. Really happy for those guys. I mean, look, it always sucks when an in-ring career ends, especially one. Jason Jordan was very young, very, very early in his career. He, you know, the sky was the limit for this kid, and, you know, until they made him Kurt Angle's son. What's the deal with Kurt Angle's stories lately? It's just been bad. It's not been good. But I digress. It looks like he's in a backstage role now, and he'll be doing agent work. So, you know, it's good that they're able to stay around the business they love, but it's really sad that their in-ring careers are over. But really happy to see them being able to be useful and be a part of the sport, which is always fantastic. Vince McMahon turned 73 this week. Holy crap. Just saying that out loud, I'm fearing for my safety. I'm sure he wants people to think he's only like 40 or 50, but he has 73. Wow. Dude looks better than I've ever looked in my life, and he's 73. It's insane. Big props to Vince McMahon. Happy birthday. thank you for everything that you have done. People like to shit on Vince McMahon, people like to shit on the WWE, but at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, if it wasn't for WWE, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking. You probably wouldn't be sitting there listening. He has done more for professional wrestling than anyone in the history of the universe, and that cannot be argued. If you try to argue it, you are an idiot. He is, despite things that we may dislike that he has done, you cannot argue the fact that he is the single most important man in the history of the world of wrestling. Happy birthday, Vince. 73 years young. In some TV news this week, John Cena has been, well, internet TV, really. It's not TV, but we're talking Facebook Watch, we're going to talk Netflix as well. John Cena has been announced as producing and starring in an episode of a new Facebook Watch series. It's a prank series. For some reason, my notes here do not have the name of the series. I want to blame someone else, but I take my own notes, so I can't. I'm sorry. I can't remember what the show's called, but it's a prank show. Double Take, that's what the show is called. The show is called Double Take. It's a prank show, and essentially what they're doing is they have this hypnotist guy who hypnotizes people to not recognize their favorite celebrities. So John Cena is going to be on an episode. I'm not making this up, people. John Cena is going to be on an episode of a show where someone is hypnotized to not be able to see him. Literally. You can't see me. You can't write this. You can't write this stuff, folks. It's amazing. Also, in TV news, Glow has been renewed by Netflix for Season 3. I did a big review of Season 2. I will drop the link for that one in the show notes, as I always do. It was one of my favorite podcasts to record. It's basically just me ranting for 20 minutes about how absolutely spectacular Glow is. It's a really good series. If you haven't watched Glow on Netflix, go, pause. I'll talk to you again in 15 hours. That's roughly how long it'll take you to shoot through the 2 seasons. It's a phenomenal show. It's one of the best shows I've ever watched. It's definitely the best show I've ever seen about professional wrestling. It's a fictionalized version of the 80s promotion Glow. They even have one episode that's like an episode of the Glow TV series. It's fantastic. You gotta watch it. It's been renewed for a Season 3 now. On my podcast, I talked about how the writing for the show is so brilliant and such a love letter to pro wrestling because it follows the match structure of getting, introducing and then getting the heat and then, cutting off and, the comeback and all that stuff is condensed within each episode and then again within each season. And now I think as well, I speculated at what the 3rd season would contain and that it looks like a 3-match structure and the baby got over in the 1st match, the heels got over in the 2nd match, and now we're into the 3rd act where the big deciding rubber match. Will the heels win? The heels being the network. Will the babies win? I'm predicting, of course, that the babies will win. So they've gone to Vegas now and they're going to do a floor show. I'm going to presume that they're going to end up getting a big major TV deal by the end of it so that in Season 4 they can move on from feuding with this shitty little network that they've been feuding with into the main event where they feud with their own fame. That's my predictions for Season 3 and 4 of Glow's Netflix. If I'm wrong and you're a producer of Glow and you're listening to this and you're thinking, hey, that sounds like a really good idea, I agree with you. If that's not what you're doing, that's what I think you should be doing. So hire me. Because it's amazing. It's seriously, the way the story has been told is fantastic. And I do, predicting stories is kind of my thing. I think that's the way it's going, but I can't say for sure. If it is, I'm really looking forward to it. Even if it's not, I'm really looking forward to it because I've loved everything they've done so far. But that's enough about that. If you want to hear me rant more about it, if you like that kind of thing, I'll drop the link in the show notes, like I said, to my bonus Glow cast that I did. Also this week, Goldberg went on an anti-Trump tirade on Twitter, including wanting to kill the president, kind of intense. Then it was revealed that he got hacked. So it wasn't Goldberg, I shouldn't have said it was Goldberg, but allegedly Goldberg went on an anti-Trump tirade, claiming he wants to kill the president. But then he said, no, I was hacked, and identity fraud is a real thing, and it pisses me off. Meanwhile, Stone Cold Steve Austin was recognized as Goldberg. Where were you when the hacking took place, Stone Cold? Where were you? If you want to talk about it, Austin, if you want to tell me all about it and deny that it was you, open invitation, come on the show. Stone Cold Steve Austin would love to have you. But moving on, we talk a lot about contract issues on this show. Now, Matt Riddle is one who was recently signed by NXT. There were big rumors, that he was going to a big company. Was he going to go to WWE? Was he going to go to New Japan? Stuff has come out this week that essentially what I said last week about WWE seeming like they just want to play keep away at this point is pretty much true. So what happened was that back in June, he got an offer from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, keep in mind that no company wanted to touch him because of his history with weed. WWE especially were very much against signing him. He's sort of cleaned up his act, I guess. I don't know. He's talking about how he's matured. We're assuming that's what that means. And New Japan offered him a contract in June. Matt Riddle told Gabe Sapolsky, who runs Evolve, where he was the champion. He told Gabe Sapolsky, he runs Evolve, he runs WWN Live. He's also heavily involved with WWE and NXT. So Gabe tells Triple H, and then boom. Contract offer from WWE for Matt Riddle. What a dick move. You've been insistent on not signing this guy. You're not going to sign him. He's too much trouble. Whatever the reason, you've been insistent on not signing this guy. Someone else shows interest and then you go ahead and sign him. And you want to tell us, all the media comes out and says, oh no, there's no number 2. Vince isn't scared. Bullshit. If you're signing talent just to keep them away from New Japan, guess what? New Japan are a competitor and you know it. It's kind of annoying. I would have loved to see Matt Riddle in New Japan. I'm excited about Matt Riddle in NXT, don't get me wrong, and I'm really happy for him. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to feed his kids for a long time off this deal. It's going to be great for him, and I really think that he could make it in WWE. I think Vince could actually understand this guy's character and get it and push him to the moon. I don't think that he's not going to be successful, but I would have really liked to see some of his New Japan matches first. But, it is what it is. Matt Riddle is now in WWE as a keep-away move. Pretty much solely as a keep-away move. Very disappointing. In other contract and WWE news, Taeler Hendrix says she will never, ever join the WWE. Newsflash, Taeler. We already knew that, and it wasn't up to you anyway. Elsewhere, Alberto Del Rio says he for sure will end up back in the WWE. Please don't. Just please. Don't. He recently walked out on Triplemania for whatever reason. I saw the reasons pop up and I haven't actually looked into it yet. But, we'll talk about Triplemania in a few minutes. Now, Neville, his contract is over. This news broke today. So, apparently, we all know the story. He walked out 10 months ago, around October, I think it was, in 2017. He was unhappy with his position and the state of the Cruiserweight division. Now, the Cruiserweight division has improved a lot. I don't know if it's improved to where Neville would be happy returning to it, but good for him, taking a stand, being like, I deserve better than this and I'm outies. It worked real well for Austin Aries. It worked real well for Cody. So fuck it, right? Why not? Take the leap and leave. Unfortunately, he was still under contract, so he's just been sitting out his contract, but now apparently the contract has ended. He is a free agent. We don't know when it ended, so we don't know when the non-compete is up, if there is one. The All In guys have kind of jumped on and started, some speculation because they tweeted about, Cody, I think it was, tweeted about missing Neville, and then Matt Jackson jumps in and he's like, yeah, I miss him too. I spoke to him the other day. He's doing good. Could Neville show up at All In? For all the speculation about that, listen to our All In podcast, which will be dropping later this week. Pay attention to this feed and you'll see it pop up. It'll be the All In cast where all of the B+ players are going to sit down and talk about All In and everything around it, including could Neville win the over-the-budget Battle Royal and go on to face Jay Lethal to become Ring of Honor World Champion. Imagine if we saw the Ring of Honor World Championship change hands at All In a match against the debuting Park. How good would that be? We're going to speculate all about that on the All In cast later this week, so make sure you stay tuned. Moving on, we have Jericho saying that he is loyal to the WWE, but he's definitely open to working elsewhere, including a potential All In 2, which has been teased this week. Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling. The door has opened, and Jericho is open to working in other places other than WWE, but he is still loyal to WWE. Very interesting stuff. Now, I did touch on AAA Triplemania just before. Like I said, Alberto Del Rio pulled out of Triplemania for whatever reason. But today I saw the news that Twitch are going to be live streaming AAA's Triplemania. This is their marquee event. It's like their WrestleMania, hence the Triplemania. It is going to be streamed in English and in Espanol on Twitch today. It's today. It's happening today. Today being Sunday. So if you're listening to this between the hours of 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Sunday, the 26th of August, pause. Pause right here. Go to the Twitch link in the show notes and watch some Lucha. AAA isn't the best Lucha company. CMLL is kind of the top dog at the moment. But AAA is a bit more sports entertainment style. A bit more WWE style Lucha Libre. And it has, of course, our very own Aussie guy, Ryan Rollins, known in AAA as Australian Suicide. So definitely worth checking out. It's a free show. It's on Twitch, so head to the Twitch link below. I think it's normally Twitch streams are available on demand after they finish as well. So even if you're not listening live, head to the Twitch link, check out some AAA. It's not always... Lucha Libre is kind of the least accessible product for us here in Australia. We're quite capable of getting a lot of the Japanese promotions, but there are no Lucha Libre streaming services that I'm aware of. If anyone's aware of them, let me know. So Lucha Libre is kind of the hardest thing for us to talk about, but AAA are streaming Triplemania. I'm hoping to watch it. Can't guarantee it, but I'm going to try. So definitely head to the link in the show notes to watch Triplemania if you have a couple of hours spare. Also in big show news, NWA announced the 70th anniversary show, taking place on October 21st, 2018. This is coming to you in partnership with Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Entertainment. The show will feature an NWA World's Heavyweight Championship defense. Now, is that going to be Nick Aldis at the time? Is it going to be Cody Rhodes? We do not know, but we do know that the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship will be defended at this 70th anniversary show in Nashville. We also know that they are bringing back the NWA National Championship, which will be won from vacant on this show. The whole thing is going to stream live on Fight, so that's going to be October 22nd for us here in Australia. It's going to stream live on Fight. If you're not on Fight, I say it again, get on Fight. It's completely free to sign up, and if you sign up using our promo code, you will get a $15 credit that will go towards purchasing a pay-per-view. Some of the pay-per-views are less than $15, so you're going to be able to pick up Joey Janela's Lost in New York from this last weekend, for example. The promo code you want to use is ZEZ1, letter O, for 1. It'll be in the show notes. It's ZEZ1041. Download Fight, sign up with that code. It sends us a little love. It gives you $15 credit, which gets you a free pay-per-view. It's win-win-win all around. Also this week in NWA news, 10 Pounds of Gold this week started a mini-series within the series called All Incoming, where they are building to the NWA title match this week, focused on Cody and his mantra of do the work. It was really good to see. It was him working out. It was him talking about his nightmare family, the 5 guys that are going to walk him to the ring that were, his dad's closest friends and his stepdad, stuff like that. Really good stuff. It really humanizes Cody, which is, Cody being a babyface now. This is top stuff. Very well produced. The 10 Pounds of Gold series is worth watching anyway. In the lead up to All In, you want to be watching All Incoming. And that's kind of the big headlines that I picked out this week. If there's anything I didn't talk about that you think I should have, let me know in the comments below. But before we go, I'd like to get serious for a minute.
If I can be serious for a minute, without being interrupted.
This week on Impact Wrestling, they aired an angle where Eddie Kingston and the OGs, that is Homicide and Hernandez, formerly known as LAX, were driving through the streets, presumably of Los Angeles. They were driving through the streets looking for LAX. LAX were at a party celebrating that they got their titles back after that big street fight last week. They were there with their cousins and all the gang members are hanging around at this house party. Conan tells them he has a surprise for them at his car, and he takes them off towards the car. And then out rolls King, driving full speed down this street, and they run over a child. A little boy. He's maybe 6 to 8 years old, that range. And they just run over a child on television. Now, a lot of people have been upset about this week. Is it going too far to run an angle where you kill a child or severely injure or maim a child? To those people, if you don't like it, don't watch it, right? If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's the best thing you can do. Let their ratings drop and they'll figure out what they did wrong. Yeah? Feel free to talk about it too. Tweet about it. Yeah, that's fine. But at the end of the day, this is a TV show, right? I mean, there have been TV shows where they simulate school shootings, right? And yeah, you can debate whether that's insensitive too or not. But at the end of the day, this is fiction. This isn't real. A real child did not get hit by a car. It's a television program. Yes, wrestling toes the line of what is reality and what is sport and what is fake and what is everything. It toes that line, and that's why we're attracted to it. But at the end of the day, it's still a fiction. It is a story being told, and this story, the OGs versus LAX, Eddie Kingston, known in Impact as King, versus Conan, this story is so intensely personal and so well told. The cinematics have been fantastic. You could string together the LAX and OG cinematics into a movie, an actual movie. Yeah, the acting's a little cheesy at points. It's always going to be a little hokey. I mean, these guys are wrestlers. They're not actors. Their acting is different. It's a live theater of the round. You need to be big. We talked about this with Grimm in an interview that you can hear next week on the Aussie Graps episode. It's the theater of the round, right? They get taught to be big and play to the back, and then when you're on TV, it's a completely different thing. The camera's right here, and acting so big kind of looks cheesy. It works, in my opinion, for these things, like for Lucha Underground, for the Impact cinematics. I'm a big fan of it. A really big fan of it. Something I discovered this week, Progress do one as well. It's called Freedom's Road, and I'm about to binge it. As soon as I finish recording this, I'm going to sit down to watch the first episode, because it looks fantastic. I love that kind of soap opera set in a wrestling world. Weird, acting going along with it, throw in some sci-fi elements and stuff. I'm all in. I love that shit. But I'm getting further away from the point. The point is it's fiction, right? This is a TV show. The kid didn't really die. The kid didn't really get hurt. What the hell are you upset about? What the hell are you talking about? If you don't like the fiction, that's fine. Turn it off. Let them know. But did it go too far? No, it didn't go too far. It's a work of fiction. Grow the hell up. I am at GregUnchained on Twitter, at the GregUnchained on Instagram. Feels weird coming back from that, but please give us a 5-star review if I didn't offend you with all that when I told you to grow the hell up. Please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really helps our visibility. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for listening.
Hold one! Arm drag! You're not done with this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon. You just made the list! Oh my God!
So, no speak English.
Dummy. Yeah.
Goodbye and good night. Hold two! Arm bar!
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy. Yeah.
Hold three! The Moss Club